picture this. You're trapped in this underground cavern, right? And you were forced to watch your closest friends, your fiercest allies, literally get torn apart, limb from limb, right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, the horror is just absolute.
Right, it's absolute. The deaths are final. But then, the nightmare simply ceases to be.
Yeah.
The impossible happens. And an entire week of just the most brutal slaughter imaginable is violently erased from existence.
Poof. Gone.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this because, how do you undo the literal end of the world without completely breaking the foundation of the story?
Well, it requires a massive cosmic scale course correction.
Sure.
You're talking about taking a protagonist to the absolute edge of annihilation.
Right to the edge.
Yeah, forcing them to swallow the bitter consequence of their own hubris, and then unwinding the tapestry of time itself.
Wow.
To pull that off, the mechanism of survival has to be planted so deeply in the lore that the escape actually feels earned, not just handed out.
Definitely. Well, welcome to another DeepLore Deep Dive. Today's mission takes us straight into the treasure abode sequence of infinite mana in the apocalypse. We're covering chapters 235 through 244.
Such a wild stretch of chapters.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we need to be clear up front, to everyone listening. This isn't just an action set piece. It is the single most terrifying near-death experience in the entire run of the story.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it is the exact psychological forge that permanently alters how our protagonist, Noah, operates. So we're going to extract the mechanisms, the magic, and just the absolute trauma of this defining moment.
It truly is the pivot point for his character. Before they step foot in that cavern, Noah operates from a place of just overwhelming confidence.
Almost a god complex, really.
Exactly. He has infinite mana, he thinks he can adapt to anything, but the events that unfold here fundamentally rewire his brain.
Yeah.
Fear basically becomes his operating system. It changes his methodology from this arrogant reactivity to a terrifying ruthless proactivity.
Okay, so let's set the stage inside the treasure abode, because the atmosphere shifts from a fun treasure hunt to a literal tomb almost instantly.
In a heartbeat.
Right, so in the center of this cavern is a black coffin. It opens, and out steps this decrepit, oozing skeleton. This is the Devilish Time Unveiler. He's been dormant for centuries, and he wakes up very, very hungry.
Oh.
Now, we know the cultivation ranks in this universe are absolute, right? The heavy hitters in this room, Randall Ramus, Black Serpent, Celestial Drax, and Noah. They're all sitting at the Transcendent Insane realm.
Which is incredibly powerful.
Right, usually. But the Time Unveiler steps out at the peak void firmament. So, mechanically speaking, what does that gap actually mean for the fabric of reality inside that room?
What's fascinating here is that we aren't just looking at a larger pool of mana or stronger spells.
Okay.
The Void Firmament realm represents a literal authoritative command over the fundamental laws of space and time. At the Saint realm, you are manipulating energy within the universe.
Like throwing fire.
Exactly. But at the Void Firmament realm, you are dictating the shape of the universe itself. So the Time Unveiler, he doesn't cast spells to absorb their life force.
He doesn't even have to try.
No. He just taps a skeletal finger, and the physical space between him and these incredibly powerful cultivators acts as a conduit.
That's so creepy.
He drinks their vitality through the void itself. It's basically a localized collapsing of physical laws.
It's just terrifying to visualize. And it forces this incredible irony. You have these bitter enemies who are literally just trying to assassinate each other, suddenly realizing they have to unite out of pure, frantic necessity.
Total panic mode.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I want to look at how futile that alliance actually is. Specifically when Noah uses his spiritual land's falling meteor attack. Imagine throwing an entire continent at someone.
A literal continent.
A city-sized landmass, screaming down with all of its mass and gravity concentrated into a single point of impact.
It's an attack that should, by all physical laws, just crack the planet in half.
Exactly. And what does the Time Unveiler do? He casually matches it and completely shatters it using a black hole the size of a fingernail.
Just a tiny speck.
Right, it's swatted away like a gnat. This brilliant visual representation of density versus sheer mass. But it raises the question for me, is the Unveiler trying to punish their arrogance here? Or is this just what it looks like when a natural disaster walks into a room full of insects?
That is the crucial distinction, honestly. He doesn't care.
Wow.
The author is actively shattering the illusion of control here. Noah thought his unique skills made him an exception to the rules of cultivation. But the Unveiler's understanding of spatial density is so refined that Noah's brute force is entirely Right, the fingernail-sized black hole works because it compresses infinite gravity into a singular microscopic point. Mass without density is, it's just a balloon waiting to be popped.
And that popping balloon is really where the tone shifts from high fantasy to genuine visceral horror. Because this sequence it's rough.
It is brutal.
But the Unveiler doesn't monologue. He doesn't do the villain speech. He just does the counts.
The brutal efficiency of it is what makes the prose so disturbing to read, I think. You have two Saint Realm beings, Grand Elder Amos and Black Serpent, and they die before they can even process what is happening. Yeah, the Unveiler uses a spatial rupture. Mechanically, he isn't shooting a blade of magic at them. He is taking the physical coordinates of the space where the Black Serpent's heart exists, and he just deletes those coordinates.
So the heart is just gone.
Disintegrated, and Amos's head is cleanly slit open by a fold in the fabric of the villain.
In a microsecond. But right in the middle of this slaughter, we get this agonizing glimmer of false hope.
Yeah.
The ultimate treasure they came for, the glowing purple and gold dagger of time. It flies through the air in the chaos and lands right in Barbatos' hand.
It's such a cruel tease by the narrative.
It really is. She has her undead army. She holds the artifact of time. It looks like the classic, escape trope is about to trigger, but it doesn't, because the Unveiler uses space repulsion. Tell us how he dismantles her, because the methodical nature of this is what truly breaks Noah.
Yeah, the Unveiler instantly bridges the gap by repelling the physical space between them. He catches her, and his first move is to silence her. He literally shatters her vocal cords so she cannot cast or command her undead.
Oh, that's just awful.
Then, while maintaining a grip on her throat, he methodically, slowly tears off her limbs one by one.
And Noah's just pinned there, watching, completely helpless.
The sacrifices made in this moment are profoundly tragic because they highlight the loyalty Noah inspires, juxtaposed against his total inability to save them.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
You have the Emperor Penguin and the Kraken, two of his most powerful summons, rushing the Unveiler to save Barbatos, and the Unveiler simply bisects them.
He just cuts them in half.
Yeah, with a spatial care. The detail of the Emperor Penguin's dying moment is incredibly heavy. Half of its bisected head falls to the ground, and its eye locks onto Noah with this deeply apologetic expression. It's apologizing for failing to protect his friend.
It is gut-wrenching. I mean, the penguin is usually so arrogant and proud, and to see it die apologizing, it just shatters you. And Noah tries to intervene.
He does.
He transforms into this massive dictatorial kaiju hydra form, and the Unveiler just folds space again and severs 5 of his 9 heads instantly. Noah is physically dismantled, and then comes the final blow. Barbatos is decapitated right in front of him.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is the author backing the protagonist into a corner he cannot blast his way out of.
Right.
When a character possesses infinite mana, you can't threaten their health bar. You have to threaten their attachments. The law of space bypasses shields. It just erases them.
Have you ever felt that? Just thinking about that cold, sheer panic of a situation spiraling completely out of your control where every single action you take makes it worse.
Oh, totally. It's a nightmare.
Noah is carrying the fate of billions of lives across 3 planets on his shoulders. And in this exact moment, bleeding out, watching his closest allies die in the most gruesome ways imaginable, the reality of his own reckless arrogance hits him.
It all comes crashing down.
His belief that he could just waltz into a void firmament tomb and wing it has doomed everyone. Every single life on those 3 planets is going to end because he got cocky.
Yeah.
He isn't the savior, he is the architect of the apocalypse.
It's the total collapse of the hero complex.
But then, here's where it gets really interesting. We get to the impossible comeback. The Unveiler has won, Noah is on the ground missing 5 heads, everyone is dead. But Noah makes a desperate, almost nonsensical gamble. He activates the sin of gluttony and devours the dying celestial Drax.
Just completely eats it.
Now, on paper, this shouldn't change anything. Why does this specific, bizarre action actually create the opening?
It works precisely because it violates the logic of the battle. The Time Unveiler pauses. It's only a half second, but he pauses to laugh. Because from the perspective of a transcendent apex predator, what is the point of a dying hydra eating another dying cultivator?
It makes no sense.
Right, it's the sheer absurdity, the audacity of the act that catches the Unveiler off guard.
Right. He's expecting a final attack, not a snack break. And that half second is all Noah needs, because here is the massive twist that the author planted hundreds of chapters ago.
The payoff is huge.
The Dagger of Time, the
It's a brilliant payoff because it leverages the villain's own fears.
Exactly.
The Unveiler is arrogant because he commands time and space. He believes he knows his own weapon perfectly, but he couldn't conceptualize that his weapon was incomplete simply because he had never perceived the sheath.
So Noah slides the dagger into the sheath. In a flash of brilliant white and purple light, the two pieces seamlessly connect, and we finally get to see the reversal ability activate. Break down the mechanics of this unwinding, because it's not just a teleportation spell, is it?
Not at all. Reversal doesn't move them to a different physical location. It unweaves the tapestry of causality.
Wow.
It pulls the foundational thread of the past week. The dread of the slaughter turns into this immense, overwhelming relief. The Time Unveiler is frozen in place, that arrogant laugh literally caught in his throat, and he is violently pulled backward in space and time.
The visual of the undoing is so visceral. Noah gets to watch as Barbatos' limbs magically reattach to her body.
Yeah.
He watches the Emperor Penguin and the Kraken fuse back together, their blood rushing back into their veins. For a week of the most brutal, tragic events is completely erased from reality right in front of his eyes.
The physical damage is undone, but crucially, the memory remains.
Right, he remembers everything.
The timeline resets, but the psychological trauma of watching them die is permanently scarred into Noah's consciousness.
Which brings us to the aftermath, the lesson. Noah wakes up back in the demon world. It's days before any of this tragedy even happened. The treasure boat is still waiting in the future. But Noah is not the same person.
Not even close. He has experienced what it feels like to be prey, and he categorically refuses to ever feel that way.
I want to look at how that fear manifests. Because he doesn't just cancel the trip to the treasure boat and hide, right?
No, he weaponizes his new paranoia. From this moment forward, there is no more reacting to the plot. He decides that he will never enter a room unless he is overwhelmingly, mathematically the strongest entity in it.
The paranoia is real.
Very real. He aggressively hunts down the demon rulers across the realm. He completely abandons diplomacy. He locks them in a dungeon, forcibly destroys their cores, and just steals their ultimate skills.
It's a complete paradox. He gathers all 7 deadly sin sloth, wrath, gluttony, all of them, including from the Imperial Phoenix, and he uses his skill combination to fuse all 7. Mechanically, how does skill combination handle something this abstract? He's not just mixing fire and water here.
Right, he's forging fundamental cosmic flaws into a unified conceptual law. By synthesizing the 7 distinct sin abilities, he strips away their individual limitations and creates the absolute sin.
Which is just wild to think about.
It's a metaphysical binding, really.
And the visual transformation is stunning. His skin turns red, he sprouts magnificent golden horns, he achieves the archdemon lore transformation.
Yeah, he fully commits.
He literally turned himself into a demon. He's trying to protect his world. But here's where we get that warm, incredibly earned moment after all the horror. He doesn't forge this doctor.
It's the logical endpoint of his new paranoia. It's his ultimate weakness was watching his friends die. The only way to eliminate that weakness is
He distributes the 7 individual sins as gifts to his inner circle. Barbatos, the Zuhiko, Mikhail, the Kraken, Dagger, the Phoenix, and of course the arrogant Emperor Penguin.
Penguin had to get one.
The description of this scene is just beautiful. The penguin's body elevates into the air, and a transparent runic marking slowly burns itself onto its head, officially granting it an ultimate skill. It's this profound moment of shared strength.
It's his way of tethering them to his own survival. He couldn't protect them with infinite mana, so he is equipping them with the conceptual weight of the universe's absolute laws.
Which perfectly sets up our favorite part of the show. It is time for the DeepLore theory. We've got 2 minutes on the clock to bounce the wildest theories based on the text. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, theory number 1, the butterfly effect. Noah now has perfect knowledge of the week that is about to happen all over again. How differently will those same days play out now that he is armed with extreme paranoia, perfect foresight, and the absolute sin?
It's going to be a massacre, but the roles are entirely different. Knowing Noah's new mindset, he won't just avoid the treasure boat. He'll construct a slaughterhouse for the Time Unveiler. The Unveiler's greatest weapon was his unpredictability and his spatial traps. Noah now has the map to every single snare. The apex predator is walking blind into a trap set by an entity that already knows exactly how to play.
Ultimate ambush. I love that. For theory 2, the incomplete relic. The text explicitly states that even with the sheath regalia attached, the Dagger of Time has yet to reach the pinnacle of its power. If unwinding
realize that the pinnacle of the dagger's power isn't about moving backward or forward, but achieving total temporal sovereignty. The final piece might allow the user to step entirely outside the river of time, becoming completely immune to causality.
Wait, step outside the river entirely. So causality wouldn't even apply to him anymore. He could just observe the timeline like a physical object.
Exactly. He would be a fixed point. Nothing could age him, nothing could rewind him.
That is terrifying. Which feeds right into theory 3, the burden of foresight. The dagger grants the insight ability, letting Noah see possible futures. How does seeing the branching chaos of time change his decision-making from here on out?
It creates a crippling paradox of choice.
Like analysis paralysis.
Yeah, if you can see every possible tragedy, you become paralyzed by the need to optimize every minor decision to avoid pain. Insight will only feed the paranoia born in the cavern. He risks isolating himself. He'll be physically standing next to Barbatos, but mentally he'll be simulating 1,000 different ways she might die tomorrow just to prevent them.
Wow. Living in a constant state of pre-grief.
Yeah.
That's heavy. And speaking of his allies, theory 4, shared vulnerability. 7 beings now hold pieces of the absolute sin. What happens if one of them is actually killed? Does the power fracture, or does it violently return to Noah?
Given the inherently dark nature of the sin series, I suspect it acts as a psychic tether. If the penguin or Barbatos falls, that piece of the absolute sin snaps back to Noah, but it carries the raw psychic weight of their death with it.
Oh, that makes sense.
It ensures the power is never lost from his arsenal, but it severely punishes him for failing to protect it.
Boom. Time is up. Those are some incredibly dense theories to chew on. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final philosophical puzzle to mull over tonight.
Let's hear it.
Think back to that opening sequence. The utter horror, the total erasure of the event. If Noah successfully changes the future and completely prevents the drama of the treasure abode from ever happening in this new timeline, does the timeline where he actually learned the vital lesson of fear still exist somewhere?
That is a great question.
Right. More importantly, by erasing his greatest failure from reality, is he risking becoming the person again? By unwinding time, did he strip away the very real visceral consequence that forced him to become a better, more ruthless leader? If the physical failure never happened, does the lesson truly stick long term?
That is the insidious danger of having an undo button. Growth usually requires scars. If you magically erase the scar, you